physiology of increased heart rate, and a third autonomic features. These three together form a sacral exercise.
So, sir, what is the pathophysiology of recurrent respiratory infections in these children?
So, it leads to what should I say? Coughing. Basically, it is due to the normal sputum of secretions of the respiratory tract is not being evacuated by the respiratory sensation. So, which leads to propagation of anitis, leading to infection.
Yes.
Hello.
The obliterate the third space. So there will be compression of the lymphatics. So there will be stagnation of secretions which act as anitis. And the other will
आपकी आवाज बहुत कट रही है actually.
which itself increases the mucus.
सर आपकी आवाज काफी कट रही है.
I'm saying one is the as the pulmonary vessels get distended, the compression of the lymphatics. As there is stagnation of secretions, they act as anitis. Other one being the which we were trying to tell is the goblet cells for bacteria. What's the cause of tachypnea in these children?
So you understand what Gaurav said? Yes. So Shashank, can you repeat what why are they predisposed to chest infection? Why left to right shunts are predisposed to chest infection?
So lymphatic clearing decreases, so which leads to more of secretions and anitis formation. There is also goblet cell hypoplasia, which also leads to the same.
It forms, so more respiratory infection can lodge into these areas, which are infect because of the pooled secretions which are there. Okay. What else? Actually, there are more mechanisms. The other mechanism which is that most of the lung development happens in first 2 to 3 years of life. As the shunt increases, they say that number of alveoli, if it is a significant shunt, number of alveoli which get recruited are decreased. So almost to the tune of 30 to 35% of the alveoli shunt which is there, because development is taking next to 2 to 3 years. So gradually the alveolar phase never actually appears completely. So almost there are almost 30 to 35% less alveoli are there. So then also it is almost, and so the perfusion is taking place to all those alveoli. So most of the alveoli are overperfused. One, alveolar overperfusion is there. 2, lymphatic drainage is gone. 3, goblet cell hypoplasia is there. All this contribute together to increase left chest infection.
And what will be the other associated histories and all the examination findings you like to see for the cause of recurrent respiratory infection? Discuss the mechanism. What can be the other contributory factors?
In recurrent respiratory tract infection.
Yeah.
So
why these children are more
left to right shunts. Secondly, any sequestered. Second, sir, any lung causes, any sequestered lung, any congenital malformation of the lung per se, and then cystic fibrosis.
These can be present, but more will have GER. That itself acts as a focus. Then many of these children will have associated other anomalies, cleft palate. Many of these children may be syndromic, as we were telling. So many of them have immunodeficiencies. And when the cycle goes on, they continue to be malnourished. So malnourished children are more prone to infections anyway, because in their ability. Though other congenital anomalies, as we were discussing, the congenital lung anomalies that can be present in sequestered lung and other.
Whenever we have repeated chest infection, we should rule out other causes of repeated chest infection, as Gaurav has highlighted.
I'll just repeat because actually sir started because sir said cleft palate and
as Gaurav has said, reflux, gastroesophageal reflux is common. Whenever you have repeated chest infection, you must ensure that there is no cleft palate because of the strict syndromic associations which are there. Of course, other causes of repeated chest infection you must always look into. So now let's proceed now. 40 minutes only.
The recognition of the large left to right shunt with aberration symptoms is almost always the result of increase in TBI in these patients, and a minority of these patients undergo relatively little fall in unilateral pulmonary vascular. So the shunt will remain small, and the early clinical course is deceptively benign. Okay, so when pulmonary resistance exceeds systemic, the shunt is reversed, and what called as Eisenmenger syndrome. So Eisenmenger syndrome has multiple symptoms like symptom hyperviscosity, cerebrovascular accidents, morphosis, renal dysfunction, uremia and gout, hypertrophic osteopathy, polylithiasis, hemostatic abnormalities. Coming to erythrocytosis, it is designed to offset the hypoxic defect in the tissue oxygenation and does not incur a risk of stroke from cerebral arterial thrombosis, irrespective of hematocrit level, iron stored, or cerebral symptoms of hyperviscosity. However, in cyanotic children in younger than age 4, iron deficient erythrocytosis occurs, the risk of thrombosis of intracranial venous sinuses increases. The right to left shunts of cyanotic congenital heart disease are pathways for paradoxical emboli that cause transient ischemic attacks and strokes. Anti-hemostatic, the platelet counts are low range of normal, clotting abnormalities, mucocutaneous bleeding, which is characterized by either
One statement you have given, na, one statement which this is always debatable when you're saying that previous slide, cyanotic में less than 4 years में thrombosis का risk ज़्यादा है, yes, iron deficiency ज़्यादा common होती है erythrocytosis की वजह से, but cerebral embolism common नहीं होता है. ये पहले भी ना कई बार debate हो चुकी है इस बारे में. It's a controversial statement which Parloff has mentioned. It is say I know it is Parloff is the only one which mentions कि इससे cerebral arterial thrombus नहीं होता है. जबकि these are microcytic cells, small in size, so they are always increasing the viscosity. So this particular statement is a controversial statement. So we are not taking this statement.
Okay. And mucocutaneous bleeding, which can be characterized by easy dosing, gingival bleeding, epistaxis, neuralgia, increased risk of traumatic bleeding. Pulmonary hemorrhage can be external, which is hemoptysis or intrapulmonary, and which can be from mild to profuse and might be fatal too. Massive intrapulmonary hemorrhage is a common cause of sudden death in ICU. So coming to hyperbilirubinemia, calcium bilirubin stones can develop because of unconjugated bilirubin, which is virtually water insoluble at physiological pH. Then systemic vascular dilatation is the result of
This is important. No? Basically, we are discussing Eisenmenger. We are discussing Eisenmenger now. One, bleeding risk is more. Then the most of commonly present with hemoptysis. So, what are the causes of hemoptysis in a hematological abnormalities? What are the causes of hemoptysis in case of Eisenmenger syndrome?
Okay, where pulmonary
Hello. फटाफट समराइज कर दो. अभी तो तुमने बताया हेमेटोलॉजिकल एब्नॉर्मलिटीज भी बोला.
सर हेमेटोलॉजिकल है, फिर उसके अलावा तो किमिस की चीजें हैं.
Just now you said ना clotting abnormalities there.
Yes sir.
What else?
उसके अलावा sir
they have more formation of collaterals. So there will be platelet abnormalities, clotting abnormalities, and collaterals, which are, so whenever there is a hemoptysis patient, you have to see all these parameters and then decide for intervention. Okay, bilirubin level is high because these unconjugated bilirubin is such a high, it binds with calcium and tends to form gallstones. So in fact, we have got so many patients operated with gallstones with Eisenmengers. हमेशा question anesthesia से आता है कि क्या करें. But this is again a very common presentation which is there. No? Now systemic vascular dilatation. Now you can continue. No?
Systemic vascular dilation due to endothelial derived nitric oxide and prostaglandins that are released in response to the increased shear stress inherent to the erythrocytic perfusion. And this increased arterial dilatation and tissue vascularity contributes to bleeding tendency. Syncope can be caused by heat-induced vasodilation of hot humid weather or by hot shower or bath or standing.
What happens when Eisenmenger syndrome takes a hot bath or goes in a hot? What happens? How does it induce a syncope?
So the peripheral vasodilation होगा सर इसको.
उससे क्या होगा?
तो left to right shunt कम हो जाएगा.
Peripheral dilatation होगा तो left to right shunt कम हो जाएगा. What's up? Eisenmenger में तो right to left shunt की कहानी है सारी.
जी सर.
So whenever there is a peripheral dilatation, it is going to increase the hypoxia. It is going to increase right to left shunt, ना? This is
SVR अगर कम हो रहा है तो peripheral dilatation हो रही है तो SVR कम हो रहा है.
SVR कम हो रहा है तो flow बढ़ रहा है.
Flow बढ़ रहा है, जी सर.
तो flow बढ़ रहेगा तो right to left shunt worsen हो जाएगा. It become more hypoxic. Is already hypoxic. So if it becomes more hypoxic, it's going to syncope. That is why you avoid peripheral vasodilatations and you avoid taking hot baths and ask them to keep hydrated well whenever you are for all these Eisenmengers. No?
सर एक बार फिर से पूछूं सर, ये अगर SVR कम हो रहा है तो SVR is lesser than before, तो सर
SVR कम हो गया तो right to left shunt बढ़ेगा कि नहीं बढ़ेगा?
तो इस पर राइट टू लेफ्ट हैंड, हाँ राइट टू लेफ्ट हैंड बढ़ेगा सर। राइट
राइट
ठीक है
लेफ्ट शंट हाइपोक्सिया बढ़ जाएगा.
ठीक है सर. And okay, coming to extramural or epicardial coronary arteries, they are dilated, elongated, and tortuous in aneurysm. And this is due to nitric oxide and prostaglandins which are released from the coronary artery endothelium. Dilatation of the coronary artery is accompanied by an increase in extramural coronary artery blood flow that does not encroach on the coronary vascular reserve because remodeling of the myocardial microvascular circulation. सर ये समझनी है. Hello.
Yeah, next slide.
Next slide. Coming to hyperuricemia, results from decreased renal clearance and increased production of urate. The elevated plasma uric acid levels are common in cyanotic adults and are secondary to enhanced urate absorption, but acute gouty arthritis is uncommon but not rare. Renal involvement, there is decreased clearance of urate and it's a functional abnormality, but the resulting hyperuricemia in turn exerts little or no deleterious effect. Proteinuria is a functional abnormality caused by increased glomerular hydraulic pressure in response to high viscosity of the blood entering the afferent glomerulus and in concern with obligatory ultrafiltration from afferent to afferent arteries. Then structural abnormalities, there is dilatation of hilar arterioles and glomerular capillaries because of interglomerular release of nitric oxide. Coming to non-vascular abnormalities is characterized by increase in glomerular cellularity in response to greater derived growth factor and TGF beta. In the cytoplasm of systemic venous megakaryocytes that are shunted into the systemic artery circulation and lodged in the glomerular ducts. Coming to cardiorespiratory responses to isotonic exercises in cyanotic congenital heart disease, there is prolonged onset and recovery of oxygen uptake kinetics. The large oxygen deficits that result in hypoxemia even with low levels of exercise, which suggests that the patient with right to left shunts rely heavily on anaerobic metabolism. And hyperventilation, which is subjectively perceived as dyspnea, is present at rest and increases excessively during exercise because augmentation of the right to left shunt induced by exercise is accompanied by an increase in systemic arterial carbon dioxide and decrease in pH that stimulates the respiratory center and cerebral bodies.
Can you explain this cardiorespiratory response?
Yes, sir. So first is that the patient has prolonged onset and recovery of oxygen uptake kinetics. Yeah. So because of this delay in onset and recovery, there is large oxygen deficit, which is occurring during exercise.
Prolonged onset and recovery of oxygen uptake kinetics. What does it mean?
Matlab sir, oxygen uptake from the lungs and the download to the peripheral tissues. Both are delayed. Means the oxygen dissociation curve दोनों तरफ से सर शिफ्ट हो रहा है.
These are polycythemic patients.
Yes, sir.
They have a lot of trucks, but they are partially not loaded. So when the isotonic exercise happens, the peripheral requirements of the body are going to increase. So truckloads I mean to say oxygen of RBCs, which are going to deliver the oxygen, they are underfilled. So practically it's an anaerobic because oxygen requirement is much high, but it is not able to meet. So they are going into almost an anaerobic metabolism in whole of the body with cyanotic. But you used a statement that with left to right shunt. Why with left to right shunt?
So with no sir, I said right to left shunt because I am heavily on anaerobic metabolism. This is right to left shunt.
पर जब भी लेफ्ट टू राइट शंट होगा ना, उस केस में भी the VQ mismatch sets in because of the lung, because of the edema which is there, which is the lymphatic obstruction which is there. So there is also a element of anaerobic, deficient uptake and delivery which takes place. This is also there. So right to left it is very much justified, but left to right shunt may be, the word comes true, prolonged onset and recovery of oxygen kinetics because of the VQ mismatch which sets in because of the flooded lungs and lymphatic obstructions. Okay, so either statement is true actually. Hyperventilation. No? Why does hyperventilation takes place?
So again, it is due to increase in pH, decrease in pH and carbon dioxide, so it stimulates the respiratory center in the rotated body.
So what happens that as we have just discussed, the cause of anaerobic metabolism, जब anaerobic metabolism पे जाएगा नहीं तो pH कम हो जाएगा, CO2 भी ज़्यादा जनरेट होगा. जब CO2 ज़्यादा जनरेट होगा तो सेंट्रल CNS सेंट्रल रिफ्लेक्स से हाइपरवेंटिलेट करेगा. तो जब हाइपरवेंटिलेट करेगा तो it will be perceived as dyspnea. Dyspnea is not just because of the lung issues, it is also because of the central mechanism, because of the associated decreased pH and increased CO2. Okay, this we are talking of basically Eisenmenger physiology. हम वैसे BSD से Eisenmenger में चले गए. चलो ठीक है.
सर एक्चुअली कर्नॉफ ने दिया था, उसको स्किप कर सकते हैं.
ठीक है. ओके.
Coming to now natural history, which I have not given detailed natural history. Bharat sir के नीचे काफी detailed है. So 10% patient with large VSDs die in first step, primarily due to CHF. Let and man-aligned VSDs almost never close spontaneously. Muscular VSDs are more likely to close spontaneously, especially if they are not large. Decrease in size of VSDs seen in around 25% patient of the population, and small VSDs are even 50% chance of spontaneous recovery by 50 years, more than 85 adolescents. Then progressive RV outflow tract, that is the Soule phenomena, may develop around 13% patients, and ER around 68%. In forward series, 52% patients with large VSD developed irreversible pulmonary vascular disease with the onset.
Summarize it. You said 10% of the patients will die in the first year.
Yes, sir.
Inlet VSDs and doubly committed VSDs and malalignment VSDs. Inlet, doubly committed, malalignment and doubly committed VSDs do not close spontaneously. मैंने doubly committed ऐड कर दिया तुम्हारी स्टेटमेंट. Muscular VSDs का सबसे हाई चांस होता है spontaneous closure का. ठीक है. I jump the next line, then I go to Paulwood series, जो कि स्टेटमेंट आपको पता होनी चाहिए कि जिसमें 52% of the large VSDs developed Eisenmengerized. So these 4 statements are important. 10% फर्स्ट ईयर में अटैच हो जाएंगे, कौन से VSDs बंद होंगे, कौन से नहीं होंगे, और कितने परसेंट डेफिनेटली VSDs में चले जाएंगे. RVOT और
Actually,
AR two complications. Okay, next
30% है फिगर लार्ज VSDs का जो है ना mortality.
ये जो फिगर मैंने दी है ना वो उससे दी है IIT मतलब
क्योंकि 1 year
Untreated
तक
VSD, 30% of them die if large VSD is there.
चलो मतलब आप also सबके से 30 लिखा हुआ है मुझे पता है.
we are talking of first year. आगे
Yes,
तो
sir,
सारी
first year.
Eisenmengerize हो जाएंगे large VSD. We are talking of large VSDs in the first year. So most
Yes,
of
sir,
them,
first
almost
year में
50%.
No, I'm talking about death, mortality.
Oh, अच्छा, I'm talking about Eisenmengerization. Okay.
No, mortality is इसमें 10 लिखा है ना, I think it is 30.
Of
Untreated
large
large
VSD.
वो एक बार चेक कर लेना.
मैं चेक करूँगा. सर ये जो लिया था मैंने वो IIT
So which complication is more common in small VSDs compared to large VSD?
Which complication?
Both infective endocarditis as well as aortic regurgitation are more common with small VSDs.
नहीं, they will only occur if they are cerebral or doubly committed ना मतलब otherwise
Yeah,
तो
doubly committed and then
तो नहीं होंगे.
in this order. Okay, let's go to the next slide.
Coming to examination, physical appearance. Abnormality in physical appearance are the result of cyanosis caused by reverse shunt in Ising members, catabolic effects of CHF in infants, which lead to poor growth and development, KKT frailty, Harrison groups, clumsy. The growth and development are also influenced by intrauterine genetic factors and by local fluid. Infants and young patients with non-restrictive septal defects and Wallington may become cyanotic only after crying or exercise. So, doubly committed subarterial VSDs are more common in Asians. The physical appearance of trisomy of Down syndrome coincides with the presence of an inlet ventricular septal defect. And in addition, we have to see for trisomy 13, 8, 9, Pituitary syndrome, Voltaren, Cornelia de Lange, triple field, artificial, and Pituitary syndrome. So these just enumerate the pathology of Down syndrome. And we had already Cornelia de Lange, and this one is
You must know a few syndromes. Otherwise, Down syndrome is important because it has got an inlet relation. Otherwise, the association of VSD is actually very big. So, trisomies, every trisomy is going to have it. So, remember the syndromes.
then coming to pulse. Moderately restrictive defects with relatively low pulmonary vascular resistance are associated with pressed arterial pulse caused by vigorous friction from the normal volume loaded left ventricle. A diminished arterial pulse with pulses alternance can be seen in patients with non-restrictive defect and large left to right shunt and CHF. The arterial pulse in Eisenmenger is relatively normal because the systemic stroke volume is maintained. So this is JVP in moderately restrictive and non-restrictive VSDs with CHF are accompanied by elevated JVP with an increased A and B waves. However, the JVP in Eisenmenger is normal or nearly so with a small dominant A wave. Large A waves are exceptional because
So JVP, just summarize. No, you've written a lot of JVP is practically okay unless the patient is in failure.
yes, sir.
JVP signifies atrial pressure, right atrial pressures. So, what is the difference between idiopathic PH and Eisenmenger syndrome?
In JVP,
JVP में idiopathic PH में it is very large A waves are seen, while in Eisenmenger syndromes, practically this A wave, unless the patient is gone into an end stage failure, does not manifest as large SH A waves. This is the major difference. While in idiopathic PH, the A waves appear very early because of the decompressing through the VSD. That is the only difference. Otherwise, A waves, unless in failure, or there is a significant TR which sets in because of the emphatic endocarditis, when V waves become prominent, JVP may be normal in many of these cases.
So A wave cannot be large if there is a VSD. In fact, if there is a large A wave in a blue child, then we can practically exclude VSD.
Exclude नहीं मतलब then we can it can occur in late stages of Eisenmengerization when EDs have really become bad, when the back pressure changes have started to appear. But in early phases and in most of the period, A waves would not be prominent. Unlike idiopathic PH, जिसमें onset से ही A wave बहुत prominent होती है.
right, sir.
Because antegrade flow तो atrial kick पे depend करता है. यहाँ तो antegrade flow atrial kick पे नहीं है, यहाँ तो VSD के through भी है.
Yes, sir.
Next.
Coming to precoordinate palpation. In restrictive VSD, the thrill is maximal in third or fourth left intercostal space at the left sternal border. The subarterial VSDs directed shunt to the pulmonary trunk. So the accompanying thrill may be maximally heard on the first or second and second left intercostal space with radiation upwards and to the left and into the neck. In a moderately restricted VSD with large left to right shunt, The volume overlaid LV is dynamic. The dilated pulmonary trunk is palpable in the left intercostal space, and moderately afterloaded RV is less impressive. It might be an impulse, RV impulse. In non-restrictive VSDs with low pulmonary vascular resistance, an obligatory systemic pressure in the RV and the pulmonary trunk is associated with volume overloaded LV, pressure overloaded systemic RV, palpable dilated hypertensive trunk, and palpable pulmonary closure sound. In the Eisenmenger syndrome, the hypertensive right ventricular impulse displaces the left ventricular trunk. Coming to auscultation, a very restricted effect in the defect in the perimembrane or trabecular septum is accompanied by soft
Precordial.
electrolytes.
Can you go to the, what is your summarization? If you are examining a case of VSD, what
Yes, sir.
will be your finding in and how will you interpret in case of a VSD?
So,
Thrill
sir,
मिल रही है आपको?
जी सर.
What is your interpretation?
सपोज थ्रिल मिल रही है सर मुझे, तो पहली चीज तो सर थ्रिल कहाँ मिल रही है मुझे? अगर थ्रिल लेफ्ट लोअर स्टर्नल बॉर्डर के ऊपर है तो इट विल बी चांसेस ऑफ अ रिस्ट्रिक्टिव VSD. अगर थ्रिल ऊपर मिल रही है इन द फर्स्ट सेकंड स्पेस, तो इट माइट बी अ सब आर्टेरियल VSD. और अगर सर मॉडरेटली रिस्ट्रिक्टिव है तो उसके अंदर सर मेरे को आरवी इंपल्स मिल सकती है. LV जो होगा वो भी हाइपरडायनेमिक होगा, एंड साथ में आई माइट फाइंड
Thrill, if you are getting a systolic thrill, it is a restrictive VSD.
Yes, sir.
With the systolic thrill, murmur मिल रही है, pansystolic, systolic thrill मिल रही है, it is most likely a restrictive. It is a restrictive. Favor goes in favor of restrictive VSD. Location से you decide whether it is perimembranous or it is outlet. You can decide it. Not always you can decide, but you can. Auscultation और तो कुछ नहीं है, बाकी तो apex है. Apex
हाँ,
will
तो
always be
बाकी
LV type
RV
unless the
impulse
patient is
will-
Eisenmengerized.
और नॉन रिस्ट्रिक्टिव है तो अगर PVR ज्यादा हो रहा है तो there will be a RV heat, वो मिलना स्टार्ट हो जाएगा. उससे पहले तक RV impulse नहीं मिलेगा.
So if suppose you are getting a RV heave in case of right ventricular heave मिल रही है in a case of large VSD, what are the possibilities?
So one is the patient pulmonary PVR is increasing and becoming systemic or systemic. Second is gustulization might be there of the RV outflow. तो दूसरी चीजें RV outflow tract obstruction due to any IVS septum aneurysm और
Visualization उसी को तो बोलते हैं, RVOT obstruction जो होता है. Auscultation में okay, auscultation पे चलते हैं.
So if a patient has a very restricted defect in the perimembranous or trabecular septum, and early systolic timing indicates that the shunt is early systole because of small perimembranous muscular defect with decreases in size or obliterates in the late systole. The early systolic murmur lengthens during a premature PPC because the reduced left ventricular contractility fails to close the defect in late systole. But conversely, the vigorous left ventricular contraction in a post-premature beat closes the defect early and shortens the murmur still. Means that PVC के अंदर सर हमारा systolic murmur of VSD will decrease in the post-premature post-PVC beat.
This time he is talking of a very restrictive VSD
Yes, sir.
This is not talking about restrictive VSD. This is talking of a very tiny defect which tends to close in systole. जब systole होगा तो muscular VSDs or very small VSDs virtually close. So he is talking of those systole. So, but for all practical purpose, whenever you have a pansystolic murmur, you have to think of either a restrictive or a moderate. I mean, it's a definitely restrictive VSD. Then you have to talk of LA-LV volume overload. So, this particular subset is just for very restrictive VSDs. तो ये याद कर लो, but ये statement बोलने के लिए नहीं है.
ठीक है.
Practically, you have to talk of restrictive VSDs. So restrictive VSDs शायद इसके बाद he will tell, है ना?
Yes. So during the evolution of spontaneous closure, photosystolic becomes polysystolic and disappears altogether. So these are two phonocardiograms. The left one showing forever girl with tiny perimembranous VSD and trivial left to right shunt. So there is a soft high frequency murmur in early systole, which was recorded in the RV cavity, and identical recorded murmur was externally recorded in the left sternal arch. And when the intercardiac phone was retracted to RA, the murmur vanished. So it is VSD. And coming to the right one, it is also restricted perimembranous VSD with shunt of 1.4 to 1 and normal PA pressures. Here in the first one, we see the intracardiac microphone recording prominent mid-systolic murmur in the main pulmonary artery. We have the three pulmonary artery, RV and the RA. When the microphone is withdrawn into the outflow tract, the holosystolic murmur of the VSD is recorded and it vanishes when we withdraw into the RA. And in the fourth intercostal space, we again see a holosystolic murmur which is identical to the RV outflow tract.